Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BETSPERTS.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. It's a great day, Andy. How you liking California? Welcome to California. Welcome back to California. Welcome to Southern California.
I did get on the interstate today and it said LA this way on the 5. Like, how long would it have taken me to drive to your house? Like 2 hours? I have no idea.
Well, depending on traffic, yeah. That's about right, yeah.
Oh, really?
If it's we're
not that far apart.
Yeah, no, I'm just up the road, as they say.
Oh.
And yeah, headed down your way for Del Mar this weekend, which I'm super fired up to see some Breeders' Cup races. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about NFL Week 9. We have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, really. This is probably one of the more news-filled weeks that I can remember in all of my years handicapping the NFL. We have 2 players who are in the top 5 among the MVP race. Actually 3 if you want to go back to last week, who will not be playing or may not be playing this week. Of course, I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, and King Henry. And so that makes handicapping all these games all that much more challenging, on top of the fact that we have the trade deadline has come and gone. There were pieces were moved.
A doozy.
Players were cut. Or will be cut in the case of Odell Beckham Jr. So yeah, there's a lot to kind of digest here, and as we prepare for Week 9, so very excited to get into this. Are you caught up on all the news?
A little bit, yeah. The Odell Beckham thing is just confusing to me, but you can say it's confusing, but then you step back and look at like all the things that have happened to Odell Beckham Jr. in his pro career. And it's like, I guess it's not confusing at all. Like this is probably pretty standard stuff. So yeah, the Murray thing, we weren't super caught up on that on Sunday night. Obviously, back on board with a little more knowledge there. That's still sounding like things are up in the air. I think we're at a spot where we don't think he's playing this week, but going forward, who knows? That's where I'm at least. Rodgers for sure is out with. He just took too much of that horse medicine, I think. And then Derrick Henry, obviously, it sounds like a Jones injury, which is nasty. That sucks. And I hate like saying I was right, because it wasn't like some hot take. But this is what I was worried about with Derrick Henry for like 3 years now. Like, I can't believe it took this long for, I just kept saying, how does this guy get so much usage and never break? And finally, that foot just gave out, a little attrition, and they signed Adrian Peterson, which is like a thing we're going to do in the 2021 year of our Lord. So let's, we'll get to all that when we get to the games, I suppose, and kind of talk about how it affects the handicap and the spread, because a couple of them, I think, have moved a little too much. But
yeah, should
we just fire away with the first game?
Yeah, let's go for it. And let's talk about some of the ramifications, some of the implications, some of the market adjustments here, because this one was wild, honestly. Heading into last week, the New York Jets were downgraded, apparently, by the market. It's weird to decompose this, though, because it was like the Cincinnati Bengals had been completely, revised as to this elite NFL team at the same time as we were throwing the Jets into the dregs of the NFL. Jets went outright. And that has really affected this market as the Jets now take on the Indianapolis Colts. Colts were obviously also they were the hot side last week. Did not manifest a win. Really didn't feel like they deserved to win. Either I didn't think. Carson Wentz did not play great. And as a result, you have a 10.5 point spread on Thursday Night Football. And while that is a big number, and it sounds big, and it sounds like an overreaction somehow, some way, we expected this to be 14. This was a 14-point look ahead, and it opens 10.5. So far, according to our friends who run books, this is one-way action Jets. The people cannot get enough money down on Mike White. They can't get enough Mike fucking White. Not only did he throw for the league leading 400 yards passing last week, which cashed somebody $125,000 long shot ticket. Congratulations to whoever that was. But he was competent and ran this Mike LaFleur offense more confidently than what we've seen from Zach Wilson so far this season. So the entire question about betting this game, whether you are going to bet it or whether you are even trying to make a fair on it, was what you saw from Mike White last week repeatable, particularly on the road, particularly against a team that runs a different type of defense than the Bengals gave the Jets that look. What say you, Andy?
So, a big part of that, I think, is a team probably with a better defense, better coaching, and a week of watching, a week of tape on this kid now, actually seeing him play in a full game, being able to prepare for him. Like, all that is where you do see this like instant regression, which nobody thinks in their mind. Mike White's parents don't believe he's going to throw for 400 yards every week. I'm not
his
talking
mom
about
might,
regression.
but his dad's probably pretty rational.
Yeah, I'm not talking about regression from like there to like a normal. I'm talking regression to he was a backup to a rookie. The regression to where he probably should be. And maybe we'll all be wrong, and Mike White should have had the starting job, and he goes on to a long, illustrious career. The only problem is they don't have a lot of time to plan for this. Like, you don't get the full week of, all right, we have the game tape on Mike White. We have all week to figure this out, put together a defense to stop what LaFleur in this offense. So that's where I'm a little trepidatious about just sitting here and laying it with the Colts.
Trepidatious.
Depending on how far this gets bet down. Like, even with a Jets upgrade and where I have Carson Wentz, like 10's bettable to me. I'm not in the business of doing that with the amount of uncertainty on a Thursday night game with a rookie head coach, a quarterback who is probably a little too willing to throw some balls to defenders. Even though it's a bad defense, it doesn't. That's the thing. It doesn't matter how bad your defensive backs and your cover corners are. If Wentz is going to throw it right at him, he's going to throw these balls that are just so interceptable. Even bad corners are going to find those eventually. So I don't want to be backing Wentz in a short week, even though the Mike White coming back against him is probably the move.
Yeah, it's hysterical to think that the right side here is Colts or pass, and it's 10.5 point spread.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike White on a short week on the road, hostile environment. I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if we ever talked about this, but like the Colts fans have this weird chip on their shoulder that they don't get enough primetime home games. Have you ever heard them complain?
It's probably true.
Oh, they complain about this every single year when the schedule comes out. There's like, they did it to us again. 1 primetime home game, 4 road games. Thanks a lot. Like this is a very, very common complaint from Colts fans, and so this is their chance to finally get a home primetime game and make some noise and really impact the performance here. The idea that the Jets are going to come out and give you a clean offensive performance, I think, is pretty suspect.
That's where I do want to ask real quick. My last point is should this total be like 45?
Yes, and probably the Jets team total should probably be like 17. And it's in that ballpark, I guess. But they're gonna struggle to get to 17, I think, realistically. Without the help of Carson Wentz, they're gonna struggle to get to 17. But who the hell knows what he does?
Good point here too. Like, not only do you have a rookie head coach on Thursday night, but you have a very experienced, respected head coach putting together the game plan. And all of a sudden, they have the best running back in the NFL, the best healthy running back in the NFL.
Yes. Realistically, I think the
Colts can be run on.
Realistically, I think the Colts get the win, and we had kind of kicked around the idea of Colts playoff when we were potting on Sunday. Colts currently in the standings are 3-5. They are behind the likes of the Patriots, Bengals, Steelers, Browns, Chargers, Broncos, and Chiefs. right now for a wild card spot, so they have a little bit of work to do.
Yeah.
They do have 2 games remaining against the Jacksonville Jaguars and 2 games remaining against the Houston Texans, I believe. So there are 5 wins on this schedule the way I see it. Let me just double. Yeah, they already played the Texans once, so they only have 1 more game remaining against the Texans. But there are some winnable games left on their schedule. Another tough stretch though. After they got Jets, Jags, they got to play Bills, Bucks back to back, which ain't fun. So they got some work to do here, and ultimately it might be that kind of end of this season stretch where they go Patriots, Cardinals, Raiders. That's going to make or break their likelihood of making the playoffs. So I do not think there is any reason to rush and grab Indy playoffs. Yes, if we are seeing anything positive, if they're healthy, if Wentz has proven himself by the time we get to December 19th when they host the Patriots, then we can just bet the Colts against the Patriots because that's going to be like a pick.
And somebody asked Colts teaser leg. Yeah. I mean, Colts Rams, that's not a bad teaser. We'll get to that. So, all in all, yeah, for me, Colts are nothing. The under, Colts is a teaser leg. Probably staying away from this outside of just some props and a second half bet. And the fact that it's a Thursday night game, this is the Thursday night game while I'm on vacation makes me happy, I guess. I'm not missing out on. I'm still gonna watch a lot, almost all of it. I am. I'll be at the sports.
Well, you're on the West Coast, so it's in like a really ideal viewing window.
Yeah, it's early on.
Yeah,
it's early. Who knows? Shit's
right.
right at supper time. All right, Houston, Miami. Houston, Miami. This is
Jesus Christ.
a Miami team that beat the Patriots, who might be a playoff team, and have looked just lost.
Well, let's put it in quotations. They beat
the secondary and the wide.
Yeah. I think Andy froze. Andy's signal not doing so great.
But the Texans are the Texans. We've seen them. What's that?
Your signal was a little laggy there. I missed a lot of what you were saying about the Texans and the Dolphins.
Oh,
I think you were basically saying these are 2 dog shit teams. Is that about right?
There. What the hell, California? Yeah, 2 dog shit teams, and the Texans have looked really, really, really bad against 2 good teams the last 2 weeks. So I'm not vacation Wi-Fi. It was super when the signal was good, it was really fast. I'm gonna have to go yell at somebody. Guess who's getting a bad Airbnb review? So Houston, Miami, this is a full can we just skip talking about this? I don't have a ton to say. If Tyrod's back, it's maybe playable at 7. For sure playable at 7. I don't know what's the skinny on Tyrod right now.
You know what else though? It's not 7 anymore. It's 6.5 now. So there's been a little bit of movement towards the Texans, which is probably people speculating. Miami, they're a class better than the Texans, but not 7. Not touchdown at home favorites. If this is Davis Mills though, Texans are getting shut out, and so Miami only needs to score 10 points to get the cover. So, or really only 7 points at this point. This was an easy one to skip. Realistically, if you were going to make me play anything in this game, I'm playing the under. Would you consider
under
Miami for Survivor this week? Do I tempt the gods? I think you kind of have to. The other choices are a little
I'm not
weird.
using it across the board, but I'm going to use them. Yeah,
I've already used Buffalo. I've already used Indy. I've already used the Rams. I've already used Balto. I've already used the Saints. I'm going to use the Saints later, probably. I'm down to like Dallas, Indy. I'm sorry. I already used Indy. I'm down to Dallas, Pitt, and Miami here. It looks like about 11% of the pool is going to be using Miami. It's not a plus EV move, by the way, supposedly. Supposedly.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
The under, I would if this is Tyrod Taylor, I'd take +6. I don't think being on the other side of 7. If it's Taylor, it's a couple points. So Davis Mills is that bad. Great in garbage time. Real good. Yep. Looked good last week. Denver, Dallas.
Ooh, this is teaser protected now.
What do we think? Does it matter?
I think Dak plays.
It is now.
Yeah.
Broncos won last week, but boy, they're still not a good team.
Were you surprised they gave
To the
people a
point of
shot to put
selling
this
Von
in?
Miller.
Were you surprised they gave people a shot to put this in a Wong tease?
You still kind of can. You can take a 7-point Wong teaser at 9.5. Or is this up to 10 across the board now?
No, it's only a couple places at 10. Circa's got 10. Pinnacle's
God
got
damn it, it's
10.
Oh, man. Of course, I sit and talk to Dan for like a half hour before the show, and the Wi-Fi is perfect. As soon as we go on, shit goes to hell. I'm just gonna lose my mind here. God. No, is this 9.5 pretty much across the board? I'm gonna have to double check.
Circa's got 10. There's some 10s out there right now, but there are
9.5. You can still play a 7. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. My thoughts in general. Dak's going to go.
I don't know.
Dallas
how many Wong teasers are they taking early in the week? Yeah.
Yeah, not very many. Not very many. I think Andy must be lagging now on top of being scribbled because we're talking over each other. Sorry, guys. Real quick. Denver, Dallas, I made a play on this game besides the tease, and it's the over. I grabbed over 49.5 here. I think realistically, Dallas going up against a team that does not have a front seven, with the way Dallas is currently utilizing their running backs and tight ends, and the way that they have a fully healthy and just absolutely destructive offensive line, I got to guess that they are probably not punting in this game. I think realistically Dallas gets to about 35 points, which means we need Denver to get into the high teens, low 20s. Denver with the healthy wide receivers now, Teddy Bridgewater, a decent offensive line that can pass block some of the pass rushers for the Cowboys. Diggs questionable with the with the ankle. I think realistically Denver's going to be able to get some points in this contest. But either way, Dallas is going to get on the scoreboard pretty aggressively here. I like over 49.5. My fare on this one was almost 53. So anything under the key number of 51, I'm happy with. What say you about the over in Dallas? I don't think you can even hear me, Andy.
Yeah, I'm just. I can hear you. It just I'm gonna go join on my phone because this is annoying now.
Do you want to drop? Do you want to drop?
I
do
agree
you want
with
to drop
you
out? All right. Well,
no,
while
I'm
Andy
gonna join on my phone. My phone's fast as shit right now. All right, see you.
While you reset, I will set the table for Minnesota, Baltimore. Andy's vacation Wi-Fi getting the better of him. Let's talk about Baltimore here and the Minnesota Vikings. Where to start? Because the Minnesota Vikings, of course, coming in off of a primetime loss where they were backed to oblivion, mostly on the news that Dak was out. But there was some support even before it was known that Dak was out, that Minnesota was the right side in that matchup. People thought that should have been about a pick 'em. So when it was out close to 3, I think there was an appetite to bet Minnesota in that game. And yeah, as a dog, Minnesota is attractive, honestly. And this week getting 6, that's attractive, I have to say. They're going up against a Baltimore Ravens team that has issues defensively that were exposed by the Cincinnati Bengals. That was obvious. And realistically, I think the urgency is there now, really and truly. Like, Minnesota can't fiddle fuck around and expect to continue to be competitive in the, for a wild card spot in the NFC. They must start to put a little bit more aggressive play on the field, particularly out of this offense, particularly with the weapons they have in the passing game. Absolutely no excuse for the fact that Justin Jefferson was barely getting targeted. And I think realistically, we have a situation here where Minnesota is coming into this game likely to try to get out to a fast start and going up against a team who's done well so far this season in Baltimore, but is coming off a bye. And at times, teams that come off the bye are a little lackluster, a little unimpressive, lacking some of that sharpness. We saw it with the Buffalo Bills last week. It took them a while to really, kind of get their heads in the game against the Miami Dolphins. And in general, this isn't crazy. Like, a lot of good teams coming off bye, particularly when they're at home, underperform, and I can't exactly explain what it is, but that should give Minnesota an opportunity to get out to a decent start in this game. I don't hate them. And the first half at -3.5 is kind of an interesting look to me. I think they can surely stay within a field goal early here. But ultimately, I do think Baltimore wins this game. Really, though, the game state that I think we can probably take some action on again is an over. Realistically, this is 49.5, and in any game where Baltimore is putting pressure on your defense, you're going to have to score to stay in this thing. No pass rush without Danielle Hunter for Minnesota here. They are attacking down the field more regularly in the passing game, which is a great way to hurt Minnesota. I think Baltimore gets into the high 20s here. Minnesota answers, also gets into the high 20s here. And realistically, this ought to be about a 51-point total by my numbers. So I am on over 49.5 again. In what ought to be a really fun and competitive contest in Balto. Some of our sharper friends are taking the Minnesota Vikings at +6 here. I think as Andy still figures out what's going on with his phone and video, it's not good. We'll get some comment from him. But
is my camera not good? I'm just laying here in bed.
It's a interesting filter you got going. Something happened with your camera and your browser where it's not agreeing with StreamYard anymore for some reason. So
that's super dumb, and I hate it. That's where I'm at right now.
What are your thoughts on Minnesota at +6 in this game? Do you think realistically that they are live as a dog in this spot? And if you're going to back Minnesota, you want to do it when they're +6 in general. I mean, they have the team that can compete with the elite teams in terms of scoring points. Like, they're not going to get blown out, right?
I like them a lot better as a dog. Their whole thing has turned into we're just a really bad team with a lead. So I wish it would turn. There it goes. Like, look, why wouldn't it just turn like that?
Well, Sue, you wouldn't know because for whatever reason it looks good on your end, but it's just horizontal lines. There you go. Anyway, go ahead.
How about now?
Now it's horizontal lines with a couple of eyeballs.
I like that. I'm gonna have to go watch the YouTube, see what that looks like. Fine. We'll go cameraless. Also, I might just buy a new whole fucking phone. Like I have it hooked up to Bluetooth, and then for some reason it comes out of the speaker anyway, which is annoying. I don't want to hear it out of the speaker. I want to hear it out. I wonder if I can switch it here. Make it happen on Bluetooth, you guys. All right. Yeah. My power numbers say I should back Minnesota here. I probably will if I can get +6. I don't have these teams that far apart. Minnesota's a dog is a lot better. Minnesota's offense is. I just got an image from Dan. I believe you guys. I don't think you're lying. Minnesota's offense is so aggressive when they're down. It's understated how important it was that like Dallas had that touchdown late and didn't leave too much time because if they didn't get that long run from Zeke, Minnesota wins that game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like they needed to convert that first down because Minnesota is so aggressive.
That was enormously huge. I forgot about that, but you're absolutely right.
So yeah, I'll probably be in Minnesota.
So, you have any thoughts on my general take that just because this is going to be a competitive game state and some of the issue, because that there's really the Ravens defense I think got basically exposed as frauds against that Bengals team, and I don't part of me wants to just hang that up as hey, well, they picked a bad day to all have a bad day. But in the other side of things, you can absolutely expose this defense if you have multiple receivers, which is exactly what the Vikings have. My guess is that, without their ability to really create much in terms of a pass rush so far this season, that Kirk Cousins is going to have time. And I think Vikings are going to be able to put up decent amount of points here. The Vikings team total, for instance, is 21.5. Boy, does that sound low. And the urgency factor, where they stand and where they are right now from standings, and maybe even the issues with Green Bay and the potential that the NFC North door may be open. I think realistically, the last two performances by the Ravens defense, blanking the Chargers and then getting absolutely waxed by the Bengals, has me somewhat confused about what to make of this Ravens defense. But ultimately, I think the Vikings are going to score. I think this total is going over because the Vikings have no pass rush in the absence of Danielle Hunter, and they can get exposed downfield passing. So are you with me on an over?
Yeah, not only that, but again, if Minnesota's going to be down for big chunks of the game, Minnesota team totals feeling like secret pod play-ish pretty quickly.
Okay. All right, well, let's revisit this. 21.5 is super low.
Yeah, it is kind of low for a team whose offense can click at times, especially against a defense that we don't really know what to make of at times.
My most likely score here, if my modal projection for a score, Baltimore 27, Minnesota 24. That's 51 points. 24-24, this goes over. 27-23, this goes over. Either team gets into the 30s, this goes over. So this is a nice overlook, I think, at 49.5 right now. And I would expect it to get closer to 51 as we get closer to kickoff. You want to set the table for the Pats at the Panthers?
Ooh, the Pats. That's another team too. Like, are we back on Mac Jones Rookie of the Year? Is it coming back? I didn't look at the prices this week.
Oh, buddy, are we back?
I think we're back. We're back.
Oh, we're back. Even if the prices don't reflect it, that's the right side. We know.
Yeah, I think we do know. We just need to have Chase needs to chill out, have a few weeks like he had last week. But the Patriots, aforementioned Patriots, the team that did lose to the Dolphins early in the year again somehow. This is a team that took the Cowboys to overtime, beat the Jets by 1 million points, ended up getting a win over a Chargers team last week, and now is on the road again, but that is not proving to matter at all this year. I don't think those teams should be getting, even if you were doing any sort of a downgrade for a team having to, I think not only is it baked into the line, it's probably too baked into the line because teams traveling for the second straight week are not showing much signs of that at all. I'm going to have to go back and look at that. Feels like every one of those games we talked about, that team just covered. And then the Panthers are obviously not in the spot they wanted to be in early in the year, although CMC is reactivated. Is that are we thinking it's a go-go, or is he just one of those, we reactivated him so he can practice?
I think they're reactivating him so he can practice, and he probably won't come back till next week. But I also don't know that it matters much because it's not like he's adding an enormous element to this game that the Patriots aren't going to be prepared for, right?
Yeah.
What does your per score projection go for the Panthers if with and without CMC? Is it even a point?
It's like 0.6.
Okay. So instead of 20 points, they get 20.5.
Yeah, it's something in that realm. And this is a goofy one. This is one I skipped over pretty quick too because I'm not 100% sure what we're going to see from Carolina from if they benched Darnold the 1 week, like how fast are they going to pull the trigger there? I don't like dicking around with a backup coming in and getting weird with it. And at the same time, I'm pretty on market with this number. Like I have New England about 4 points better on a neutral, and probably staying away from that just because all the things I've said about New England's coaching. I'm not super excited to back New England as a favorite on the road with some of the things Belichick's done as far as just coaching decisions.
Here's a question for you as you step back, because last week we bet the Chargers. I felt like it was a Patriots fade as much as it was excited about the Chargers. Like the Patriots are overrated here. Market's giving them too much credit, blah, blah, blah. This should be a touchdown. But looking at their body of work a little bit more carefully, they're getting a lot better. Like they're improving as we have come into this portion of the season. And as you can very well remember from the Tom Brady Patriots days, they used to take the first 4 games as an extended preseason, work on some stuff, get guys right, figure out roles and responsibilities, and then, kind of build their way through the months of October and November. And if you look at it carefully, like, that's kind of what is happening. Like, they played a really competitive game against the Cowboys, probably should have won. They played an outstanding game against the Jets, utterly embarrassed them. And then they went toe-to-toe on the road with the team off a bye in the Chargers, who's playing plus EV football, and they beat them convincingly. Ball bounced their way. Yes, that's true. But it was a true, no doubt win for the Patriots last week. There are Patriots fans out there who are beating their chests, and they're like, hey, this is 2001 all over again. No one believes in us. We don't look great right now offensively, but we're getting better. Our defense is doing things that is really frustrating some good quarterbacks. Does any of this resonate to you? I mean, they played a freaking tough game against the Buccaneers, and we think the hell out of the Buccaneers right now. Are the Patriots live for a playoff spot in a otherwise unimpressive bottom of the AFC West playoff field?
So not only that, but the Browns are kind of in disarray. That's their opponent next week. The Falcons are obviously always in disarray. That's their opponent in 2 weeks. The Titans are going to be figuring out what the offense looks like now. That's their opponent in 3 weeks. At the Bills is very tough. At the Colts, probably as well. And then at the Bills again. So a tough 3-game stretch there. But then they get the Jags and the Dolphins at the end. This is probably a wild card team, buddy. And I guess then we get a rookie quarterback in the playoffs to bet against, no matter how we feel about things.
Yeah. On the road.
Yeah, on the road, rookie quarterback.
Probably against
hope the number is somewhere in the range that we can take it.
Yeah. Man, dude, I don't know that this is a fair price personally for this game. Patriots are. I don't know that they're good. Again, I think the market is still a little high on them at 3.5 in this spot. But I do think that ultimately the way their schedule looks, and if they continue their upward progression, that this is a team that absolutely you have to pay attention to. That for what Belichick lacks in putting together a roster, for what Belichick lacks in in-game decision making about when to go for it, when to kick, etc. He can still prepare his team exceptionally well for their opponent in a given week. Would you agree?
Yeah. And last week's box score just puzzles me too. I don't know what to make of either team's game plan here. But a big part of it was just the interceptions thrown by Herbert. And we talked about this defense early in the year. It's a defense. It's a team that always seems to do this, where later in the season, the defense is just like, oh, this defense kind of stunk. But now they're kind of putting it together, and it's playing with some cohesion. And it might not be, the Ravens, but this is a good defense who gives people problems. I like how you put that. A defense that gives people problems. That's what they were last week. Herbert threw a couple picks. Both quarterbacks were 18 of 35, which is just breaking my brain for some reason. But the fact that I didn't think Jones threw it 35 times because Harris had so many totes. It's just the Patriots ran 75 plays last week. That is popping right now. Obviously, Chargers didn't have the ball as much, and there were some less lengthy drives, I guess. But the fact that they still got 5.8 per pass, which is not great, but the length, the time that they had the ball, and then I guess the third down efficiency and the turnovers are kind of the difference there, because that's a tough game. Even if you're playing well for this team, who I did just proclaim as a playoff team, this is a really good win on the road for them, and this might be the difference when they get down there into the tiebreakers and trying to find the way into one of these 6 or 7 spots.
Yeah, and the 3-point final score really didn't capture. This was a 2-score win, I thought, for New England. Really, late touchdown for the Chargers made it look a little bit better than it was, I thought. Okay, well, I didn't bet this game either way. I am very carefully watching the Patriots though, because the AFC in a vacuum, the AFC looks weaker than we thought. I think that's a completely fair statement. And I am one of the people who literally have been listening to mainstream media just to kind of gauge what's going on in the NFL talk space, right, this week. And a lot of people are saying this sort of stuff like, whoa, all of a sudden the NFC is really good and the AFC is not as good. And we thought it was going to be the opposite when the season started and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know, we knew also, though, when the season started that the schedules were imbalanced where the AFC teams all had to play each other, like good ones, all had to play each other in the first half of the season. And there was going to be attrition. There was going to be losses. There was going to be, you look at the standings and no one really pops because they're all kind of clustered around 5-3 through 8 weeks. Like that's kind of where we are. And we expected to be here. So I think as we kind of continue on through the rest, this next portion of the season, something I'm very woke about is just like, okay, the AFC might be getting, you know, some favorable looks against the NFC in general. Right, because people are kind of talking themselves into the NFC is better than they thought preseason, and the AFC is not as good. And you know, teams like the Ravens might stunt on like the Vikings. Teams like the Chiefs might stunt on the Packers. Quarterback situation notwithstanding. You know, it's does that kind of thinking make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, especially the imbalanced schedule part. And also, does it like, is this something that matters? You know, or is this just strictly is it strictly like talk show fodder? Like, oh man, we thought this one conference was going to be good. Now it's the other one. Like, does this really impact anything from handicapping?
Is it reflected in the market? Is that's what you're asking?
Yeah, and I think the answer is no.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about how Minnesota had value against the Ravens, so you know, we might be victims of that bias to a degree, right?
I guess apparently it might just. I think that is just more of a matchup game state kind of thing for me as well.
Right now, if I look at the Super Bowl futures, you want to guess what the percentage of AFC teams in the top 10 in terms of odds?
4.
3. You have the Bills number 1, then it is Bucks, Rams, Packers, Cardinals, then Ravens number 6, Cowboys, Chiefs number 7, Saints. Excuse me. Yeah, Saints, and then so one more, so 4. Yeah, exactly. You have 6 NFC teams in the Bucks, Rams, Packers, Cardinals, Cowboys, and Saints. And only 4 NFC teams in the Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, and Titans.
No,
you fixed your camera.
Well, I use Firefox. We're now a Firefox team.
Are you on your phone or your computer?
No, this is the computer.
Oh, okay. Well,
we'll see how this goes.
It's razor sharp now. It's fast too. It looks good. Okay. All right. So maybe I'm making too much of this, and it's not really built into the market yet. But I think it's important to keep an eye on this sort of thing because ultimately, I don't think our underlying, you know, because like a team like the Rams, they've played in the last 3 weeks the Giants, Giants, Jaguars, Texans. Is that right?
Yeah.
3 really bad teams. Maybe it wasn't the Jaguars, but the Giants, the Texans, and somebody else absolutely terrible. Who was the third team that I'm forgetting?
I was switching my headphones over from the phone. I didn't even know what team you're talking about. I'm just nodding my head.
The last 3 weekends, the Rams played the Giants, the Lions, and the Texans. We haven't seen them really play a competitive game going back to like beginning of October.
Yeah, since the Goff Super Bowl.
Right. And a lot of people's commentary about the Rams is like, oh wow, this team's clicking on all cylinders. They might be the most dangerous team in the NFL.
And they got Von Miller now.
They got Von Miller. Yeah, and they're like, this is like, that's exactly how you talk about a team who just played 3 of the worst teams in the NFL. They should look fucking good, right? Like people were saying about the Broncos after 3 weeks. Let's not forget, right?
There were Sam Darnold MVP truthers out there.
There sure were.
There sure were. Shame is where I'm at. So, I want to play this game.
Let's move down to a team that I do think is somehow still being underrated, even though they are a 3-score favorite now, and that is the Buffalo Bills against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Did you eventually lay this price, or are you passing this game?
I'm probably going to lay it.
I tried to twist your arm on Sunday, and ultimately I ended up taking a bunch of action on this. I'm on team Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills to just scorch earth these motherfuckers.
I'm probably going to play some first half too.
Ooh, what's that number?
It doesn't matter.
It's 7.5 right now.
It's probably going to be
not
8.
Bad at all. That's not bad at all.
Really? I was expecting 8.5. Well, no, okay, I'm on that. And if you have a place that has a cheap, like if you can get a 7.5 at -110, and you find literally anything else even money, like there's no value in an 8 really in a first half. I'd have to double check that.
You want a flat 7.5, or do you want a
plus money 8.
7 minus 117? 7 cents for that half point? Tough question.
It's tough, especially in the first half only. That's probably pretty close to fair price.
It is.
Those are probably the same number.
I wouldn't do 120, but 117, I'm thinking about it.
I would not pay a dime over 118.
Those 3 cents will come back to bite you if you go a large enough sample. That's the truth. Buffalo Bills.
Jacksonville's lost. Like, they looked very, very bad against a team that started Geno Smith and let them into garbage time for a big chunk of that game, and you still didn't get anything done. The James Robinson thing is a problem. The coaching staff is a problem. Basically, all the things that are happening are a problem, and this is a further indictment of, oh shit, Miami's in trouble. Like Miami lost to this team in London so bad.
That's
so
a good point.
Yeah, I don't know where you would put this number right now, but I'm so far past 2 touchdowns where I have Buffalo right now, and just Jacksonville. Jacksonville's fallen into the cellar of maybe this team is as bad as Houston. So many problems, and a lot of them. I mean, just everything. Like, how have people stopped Buffalo, Drew, this year?
Well, they have covered Stephon Diggs. They have forced the Bills to try to get it done on the ground, and then they've had very fast, athletic linebackers, and then executed an outstanding pass rush to sack Josh Allen. Yeah.
So just the coverage isn't going to happen. The pass rush,
no,
a little bit, but not anything to write home about. Miles Jack is good.
Bottom 5 pass rush win rate for the Jags so far this season.
Yeah, it's going to be a long game for them if that offense if they want to run this up. And the only issue with this is, like, what if we see something like the Rams game? So maybe I am the asshole for not taking the early number, because people who bet the Rams, and there was everybody and their sister, Sharps Public and everything, have taken, took what was it last week? The Rams. And then the last of the numbers, the 16.5, those didn't get home through some real garbage. So even though they're up 38-0 to 1 point. So maybe I am the asshole for taking the late number, but this will be for sure first half, probably full game. And yeah, I don't see any way for Jacksonville, despite where at home, like, getting anything done against this offensive line from a pass rush standpoint enough to just. And if you see these teams that have, like, they say my edge rushers are going to be more contained, and we're going to get some pass rush up the middle because this is a mobile quarterback. Like, they don't have that luxury of saying, that we're going to do some different things with our edge rushers. Like, you have to just let your edge rushers buck wild loose, try to get anything done against these tackles, and it's just not gonna happen against this team. So if he has all day back there with those receivers, it should be a bad time. I don't have to tell you that. The line is where it is for a reason, and it's probably still some value. Buffalo is a foot on the gas team.
And a truck also, an offensive truck, that is. I will give the Buffalo Bills a pass for their, for kind of the slow start last week against the Miami Dolphins, a team that is A, familiar with them, B, was playing like their season was on the line or practically over, and C, has good players. Like, let's not forget that, and has a good coach. But ultimately the Buffalo Bills offense kind of snapped out of their funk by the end of the game. and I would expect that they come out and just utterly bury these guys. Same sort of thought process you had last week with the Rams. Like, you don't fiddle fuck around. Like, come out and just put your thumb right on their head. And honestly, that's what you do when you're going up against a team like the Jaguars, who are dying to quit on their coach. Like, they are not fighting for him, not at all. They just got utterly beat up on the road by Geno Smith and the Seahawks. This team, the Buffalo Bills, are going to beat them with margin. I laid the points. I do not think this is competitive whatsoever. And really, I think we're going to go through this phase over the next couple of weeks where the Bills really kind of come into the full, full bloom as far as an offense goes. We finally see exactly what they can ultimately be. There were some question marks on the injury report. I'd love to see Cole Beasley get some practice this week. I'd love to see Knox get some practice this week. But ultimately, I don't think it matters, because you can run on this Jaguars team if you're the Bills. And the Bills have been doing a nice job, at least, of trying to balance their offense a little bit more this year, which is, I think, ultimately going to bear fruit for them. So, Bills, let's go. Let's just scorch these motherfuckers.
Yeah, just real quick, my offensive rankings combined with quarterback play, I have Buffalo higher than the Geno Smith Seahawks. So I'd expect them to have a decent game vis-a-vis.
Okay. I like it. Cincinnati, Cleveland. Do you take any action on this one? We bet
we bet this Sunday.
Early, I forgot. Market not impressed with our play, by the way.
There's just been buyback at 3. Every time it hits 3, there's buyback.
Okay, who's betting Cleveland at 3, and what do they see in this handicap that we did not when we played it on Sunday?
A bunch of people are. I mean, I know people who are, and I don't know. I guess if you want to go pure power numbers and you don't make any adjustments or some of the things we've seen from Cleveland from a standpoint of injuries or probable injuries, just where Baker's at from an injury standpoint, I'm not excited about grabbing this 3 with them. The Bengals are younger. They haven't had any modicum of success the past few years. Their coach is worse. Their quarterback is still very young, but man, I don't quite understand why you would go to bat with a team like this. I guess getting the points in the division game, I can never yell at anybody for that, but at 2.5, I like this. I don't think I would have bet the Bengals at 3.5. Certainly not 3.5. But I'm not at a spot here where I have the Browns getting upgrades over the past few weeks. Like, we've seen multiple injuries. The quarterback is banged up. You got a receiver who's being super weird. I don't know if that actually matters. Like, real quick, the OBJ thing. Like, he's a very good player, but does he matter a ton whether he's on this team or not? They've seemed to do the offense. It's not like the offense has been spectacular. I mean,
he's wasting snaps.
Yeah, he's taking it away from somebody else who could be trying, I guess, to lack of a better term. Yeah, I'm still in Cincinnati here just because I took him at the good number. Do you think this keeps getting bet down?
I guess. I mean, they win in the trenches. The Browns do. Right? The Browns win in the trenches here, both sides of the ball, even though they've had a couple of injuries. Right now, the pass rush win rate for the likes of the Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Tank McKinley crew, if those guys are all out there and healthy, it's scary how effective they are at rushing the passer. And in the 2 games we saw last year, it actually didn't matter. They were in the backfield in Burrow's face all game in both games, and the Bengals were still super feisty. They were aggressive. They passed early and often, and the talent is there in the wide receiver room, the tight end room, that they're going to be able to at least go score for score with the Browns team if the Browns are having a good day offensively, which really makes me look at this total at 46.5 and wonder why that's so low. I made fair here 48.5. So I think the over is a good look if you don't already have the Bengals and you're not interested in fading the sharp players out there who bet the Browns.
Yeah, I would say too, like, as far as once I dig down into some stuff I'll probably do tomorrow, is you get into some of these positional group matchups. It's not going to take me sitting down and looking at rankings to realize that the Browns have a big edge in pass rush versus this offensive line. But Burrow under duress hasn't been bad.
He's been good. Yeah, no, he's been
very good under pressure. So I don't know how much of or if I'm making an adjustment at all for the fact that they'll be in that backfield a lot. In fact, if they are bringing blitzes, I like Burrow quite a bit against that. So yep, I like the over here. I got contact lenses. Giving me I'm having a hell of a time out here in California. I don't know how you do
That's what you get
day.
trying to podcast on vacation, man. This every time.
I know. I never miss one of these, and the wife wanted to just chill and read for a bit anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, ultimately,
Jesus.
Oh, nice. Ultimately, I do love this opportunity for some serious points in this one. Both matchups we saw last year between the Browns and the Bengals, how you want to say, were high scoring. I think, do you want to guess the two totals without looking?
71 and 68.
Oh, you were super, super, super close. I think it was 65.
I can remember one of them. I can remember one of the games being 71.
Yeah, the other one was 35-30. So 65. Good damn guess, man. And both of them, the Bengals covered.
Both went over.
I believe. Both went over, and the Bengals covered both.
Neither of those totals was bet up.
You know what would just make my day? If the Bengals just scored a bunch of points, if Myles Garrett got some nice sacks, and if Jamar Chase was a total decoy, and this was the Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins show.
3 targets. You know what? I'm just going to throw this lens away. Fuck them. 3 targets. So I brought 10. 3 targets, 3 drops for Chase. Nice. That would be great. Nice. Anyone, if Cleveland does close at 2.5.
Beautiful weather day, by the way.
It's a decent teaser leg. You're right about that, guys.
Yeah, that is true. That's maybe one of the only Wongs left out there, question mark. I guess Kansas City might end up being a Wong, which is going to be hysterical. Vegas Giants is close, but not quite. Let's move on to the Vegas Giants game. I don't really have any commentary or hot takes on the Vegas situation.
Yeah.
It absolutely sucks. It has made refreshing the timeline the last 2 days miserable. I
hate when stuff like this happens. Obviously,
hate it. It's extremely sad on the part of everyone who was affected. And don't drink and drive. I mean, it's not that hard. And the fact that we're even having this conversation in 2021 is mind blowing. But here we are. And the Raiders in that locker room have already been tested once this season. The leaders got everybody together. They galvanized them, and they played great in response.
But this is such a different situation. It's not a change in leadership. It's a player who made a horrible mistake, and we'll see how that saga all plays out. Obviously, the team did release him. As far as it sucks because it's like with any. Don't get it wrong. This is a tragedy. Someone lost their life.
Yeah.
Someone probably ruined their young life by making a horrible decision. But at the same time, we do have to look at this from a handicapping standpoint. That's what we're doing here. And, without not to be crass, he doesn't make a big difference to the line. He's
on the field. This is negligible. But
no, it's really
in terms of distraction,
distraction is bigger than that.
Think about what was going on in your life yesterday as you were refreshing, as you heard the rumor and refreshing and reading the news and catching up on it, and then again the news cycle again today, getting the details and refreshing it and digesting it and talking about it, and then think about if you're a freaking Raider and you knew this guy and you live in that city and you are trying to prepare for a game this is as enormous a distraction in a game week that I can remember.
Yeah.
And it's tough because if this was a totally neutral state, I would be banging the table Raiders should be massive bet here because the Giants are awful, particularly at home and particularly with now COVID swirling around that locker room. There's going to be more news that comes out about Giants players. It wasn't just Sack Barkley, in my opinion. There's probably going to be other guys who are going to. There's already been
one other one. I don't think it was a player of note.
But
nor was Sack Barkley at this point.
Yeah, running backs coach got tagged. Bunch of potential, bunch of potential impacts on the Giants. Like literally, like if they wanted to simulate this game on NFL 2K or whatever, and just post the score and not actually play it, that would be fine with me. I don't have any interest in watching or betting this one.
That's not a bad way to do these games in the future.
Yeah.
Some of these games where it's like, do we really want Jacksonville to play the rest of the year? Can we just sim them?
Sim them.
Like, sim. Yeah, there's a sim button. So yeah, same here. I was probably also looking forward to betting against the Giants again. More pain for me maybe, but weird motivational, however you want to phrase it, like distraction issues with the Raiders. Probably stay away from this one altogether.
Yeah, no idea how they prepare, and they head into the bye week, and they get Tampa Bay out of their bye week. So the
Somebody brings
misery
this up
continues.
Under the radar, Joe Judge straight up lying about the headset issues. Nobody with that much in an organization with that much money would have headset issues for that many weeks and just like, oh no, what did I forget? Did I leave the stove on? Did I leave the garage? Oh no, I forgot to bring up the headset issues. Oh no, we're gonna have it again this week. Like, oh man, we're gonna probably have so many penalties again. Yeah, like I feel like he's lying. Either he's lying or it might be even worse if he's not. The fact that it could just be incompetence on that end. The Clint says the problem is Garrett is on the other end of the headset.
No, yes, there's no good response when he says that.
No,
either he's an untrustworthy, bizarre liar, or he is like a complete incompetent boob. And maybe both, truthfully, So yeah, that was quite a scene. And honestly, the fact that Joe Judge was hired in the first place was a mistake. And honestly, this goes back to our rant from several weeks ago about if you're a Giants fan, you need to put pressure on this ownership group to clean their act up because they're an embarrassment. That's all there is to it.
Yep. Speaking of embarrassments, Atlanta will take on New Orleans. Oh man, I was so happy with Atlanta. And I'm not logged in right now, so I can't even see Dan down there, which is probably good at this moment. So, because I'm using Firefox. I'm not logged in.
Should we use this time to talk about the Atlanta Braves, world champion Atlanta Braves?
Yes. Congratulations to the city.
Good
rough
uplifting
history.
Story.
Yeah, rough history. It was it Sherman raised the city a little. We had the 91 series where there were some shenanigans by the Twins. The 99 series was bad. The Falcons, I feel like, had a couple Super Bowl problems. The 0-2 in Super Bowls. The Bulldogs have screwed up a couple games. Yeah,
I forget that.
Denver and then New England as well. So
the New England one. Yeah, that's right. I think I had the Falcons that day.
So the Braves have taken it, and yes, congratulations to the Braves. But back to the Falcons, they are not. We had 3 straight weeks of good Matt Ryan, and that was as far as that streak was going to take us. That was an ugly game. Really, really not fun to be involved with or watch. I'm glad I wasn't either, really. And New Orleans is now in a bit of a pickle, too. I'm not in a spot where I have kept up on the quarterback news here. Is there some sort of tell on what they're going to do here in New England? Or New Orleans at quarterback?
There, as far as I can tell you, the presumption is it's Taysom Hill time.
Yeah, he's coming off the protocol, which is fine. And that's the thing. We can shit on this guy, and yeah, he's a tight end. He's actually a very good runner with the ball in space. He's scary. He's a big ass dude. Yeah,
he's a good athlete.
But when they ended up starting him the other year, he was fine. They have enough weapons around him where he was fine. If Kamara is healthy, and this offensive line is fairly healthy, I know they did lose one. They lost a guard the other week. And they have, receivers who aren't super stinky, which it sucks about the Michael Thomas thing.
Thomas.
He's not coming back at all this year. That sucks for this team.
R.I.P. in peace, Michael Thomas's ankle.
probably going to be at the 6th seed in the playoffs in the NFC at this point. Even though the NFC is so much better, we're going to have Taysom Hill leading your best wild card team. Jameis, obviously, the reports now, it was ACL, MCL, like that's full year recovery kind of thing. So Taysom Hill, are you running to lay 6 points at Taysom Hill?
No.
Or are you running to lay? No. Are you laying to 6? But can you sit there and take points with the Falcons at any given juncture right now? If you made me bet this, I'd have to bet the Falcons, which means I can't bet this game.
Falcons are pass.
Yep.
Total of 42 over or pass. I think you have to pass both. The Saints defense is elite. They're going to make it tough for Matt Ryan and company. And actually, the Panthers kind of gave the Saints a blueprint about how you deal with Pitts.
Yeah.
Put your best corner on him. Like that's
take him out of the game. Yeah, the joke during the draft, during his time at Florida, it's always like he's a wide receiver. Like, what do you do with wide receivers? You put a corner on him. You don't let a coverage linebacker cover him. For God's sakes, don't drop a D end in coverage on him. Even if he lines up inside at the tight end position, put a slot corner on his ass and make him beat somebody with the skill level of a cornerback. And for sure,
or make Matt Ryan beat you with Russell Gage, Olamide Zacchaeus, Christian Blake, Hayden Hurst, and Lee Smith. Make him beat you with Lee Smith. You can cover Lee Smith with a linebacker. Don't worry about that.
Hell of a pitcher for the Cardinals. And the other part too is, like you said, the receiver core is very thin now with Julio in Tennessee and Calvin Ridley taking personal time right now. So your best wide receiver is now a rookie tight end, and you have an aging quarterback who can make some bad decisions under pressure. Yeah,
are we reacting too quickly to the Atlanta downgrade? Like, did they just maybe have a bad week last week? And now that they know they're going to be without Calvin Ridley for a while, they may have a plan and they may look a little bit better because here's where
this is a good defense on the road, man. You see what this total's doing. This total's saying Falcons are going to score.
It is. And actually the look ahead wasn't really all that different. 5.5, 4.5 some places. So this was always going to be a big number, but you're down, I guess neutral QB move. This is a Sean Payton, regardless of the quarterback.
I feel like there's another Civil War joke in there with Lee Smith, like Atlanta, when Atlanta relying on a Lee has never gone well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Lee.
But maybe we are being too harsh, but this really, really anemic passing offense now. Especially if you're able to, it was like, we have to take a corner that could be covering Ridley and put him on Pitts. Now you don't even have that. You're just like, fuck it. Put some linebackers out there in these backups, whatever. Yeah. You can really zone in on taking Pitts away. The running game is not going to be strong here on this.
Easy pass for this game.
Yeah, the Saints defense at home is a bit much here. Like, it's Falcons or pass, and maybe it isn't. Maybe it's Saints.
Okay, so close your eyes and picture the scoreboard. What are you picturing? Like 24-3 New Orleans?
Yeah, all of a sudden I'm tempted to. I'm probably going to get into this one live. I'll be looking at this.
I mean, Taysom Hill embarrassed these guys last year.
That's probably the only thing that keeps me away is the sketchy quarterback situation.
Yeah.
Falcons team total under, Dan says. I mean, that's a classic Dan thing to say, but he ain't wrong.
I mean, their mojo is alive down there, down in the big A.
It's not the big. You almost said the Big Easy. Yeah, that's where
Big A. They're going to be in the Big Easy. But what's the
Dan says they like to be called Hotlanta.
That's really, really, really 90s.
The ATL.
Yeah, the ATL. Okay.
Hotlanta is. He yelled at me once for that. You can't call it. It's like saying Frisco when you go to San Francisco. So no bet on here. The under money is the right money. You could probably still bet the under.
Just Googled Atlanta nicknames, and the first one that came up was Slime City. What's that about?
I believe you can't do that on television with film there.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll just take the internet's word for it that Slime City is based on the Nickelodeon show. All right. The don't have anything on that game. Chargers Philly, I do. And Andy does as well. In fact, Andy has had something on this game for a week now. Sell me this Chargers. I bet it as well. I'm with you. I'm not against you on this.
I liked what we saw from the Patriots from a defensive standpoint last week. I don't think we'll see anything of that sort from the Eagles. They need to, the Chargers need to clean up the mistakes. It wasn't outside of the interceptions. It was a bit of a mistake-laden game. That's how you lose a game like that, where you're pert near a touchdown favorite at some points in the market. The Eagles, I mean, they use a bunch of different running backs, so I don't even know who to zone in on here. Like the Chargers' run defense has been rough, but if you can't stop this motley crew of running backs, maybe you don't deserve our love. Maybe you don't deserve our money. They do need to stiffen up and figure out something. You have a head coach who should be able to put some schemes together on defense for this kind of offense. I really, really, really just think, I think the offense is going to be fine. I think Herbert gets his done. I'm more worried about the Chargers defense having some issues with, whoever they use at running back, whoever is the flavor of the week that week to get all the carries, and then Jalen Hurts being a little bit mobile. So, I'm worried about the Chargers defense. Was that me selling you?
Not really. But I will say that the weaknesses of the Chargers defense there's not a big Venn diagram crossover of Chargers defensive weaknesses and Philly offensive strengths.
Yeah.
Right. Like they don't really intersect much, which is good for LA. Similarly, Chargers offensive strengths, Philly's defensive weaknesses, that is a big Venn diagram crossover. In fact, it's almost a circle. Realistically, if you're running basic offense, basic defense like Philly does against this Chargers offense, then they are going to carve you. And that's going to put Philly in a negative game state in general in this game. If this were on the other side of a field goal, I would not want anything to do with it. But at under a field goal, I think you are safe from a backdoor here. And I think ultimately the Chargers win by 6 or 7. They're probably up 14. Eagles score a garbage time touchdown, go for 2, and this either ends at a 6 or an 8-point game. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm trying to find what account we bet this into. 2.5? Do I have a bad number on this?
Probably bet online. Yeah, I think you probably do. I'm with you though. I'm there. I'm on the Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers. And I mean, you do raise a good point. Like all the strengths of the Chargers offense really do match up well against the Philly defense. Like I said, I think the Chargers offense is fine. I just worry this is all of a sudden this is like a 35-34 game late.
Let me ask you about the market on this one, because there has been a lot of Philly money early. Most of the Philly betting that we've seen this year has been late. So this is not the same people. That's important to kind of identify. Do you think
it's only Wednesday? Does somebody come back?
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah. Like is there more Philly money later in the week again, or are people? We really don't know. Basically, the answer is we don't know what whatever player out there has a hard on for this Eagles team. We don't know if they are going to the well with them this week or not. And I can tell you that the early action on this was from different voices, different people, and there's not consensus that the Philadelphia Eagles are the right side here whatsoever. And this may ultimately close Chargers -3 for all I can tell you. So that's where I'm at on this one. Chargers cover, not a huge position for me ultimately, but I think the Chargers do get right here. I think they're the better team. And I think, a week removed from the bye, I liked some of the stuff I saw from the Chargers against the Patriots in terms of how they adjusted. They just, ran into a Patriots team that played a really good game.
The Chargers have been a little weak against the tight end position against certain teams, especially I think the Browns put a bunch of, and that was a weird game. Everybody.
That was one big play to Njoku, too.
Yeah, I mean, but they had more than that. I'm gonna. And Njoku had like 150 yards, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
but like 80 of them were on one play.
one big play helped, but I mean, it's still like, how do we stand on that when we say like, oh, but a lot of it was one big play? Well, that's because you're bad against tight end, and he also had 60 other yards, despite aside from having a massive ass play. Like, there's that too. So, in general, they haven't been terrible against the tight end, but they haven't been great. So, maybe the tight ends from the Eagles scare me a little against this defense. But again, like everything we said, love the Chargers offense this game. I'm very happy with it.
You were correct. He had 78 yards in addition to a 71-yard. So yeah,
he had like a stupid massive day.
Yeah, he had a great day. Yeah,
everybody had a good day that day though.
Yeah, Nick Chubb had 161 yards. Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns. Yeah, everybody scored. That was a weird game all around.
Oh, I don't even want to do this next game.
Let's talk about it though.
All right, Rodgers is out. It's too much. I'm betting the Packers 7.5.
What? Are you serious, or is this
I'm taking some Jordan Love.
No. I did not know you were going. Is this a serious take, or is he
how much? No, semi trolling, but I'm going to look into this. Oh man, how much clipboard delta do we? It leads to the question: how much should Aaron Rodgers be worth to the spread when your backup is Jordan Love against a bad defense on the road? It's a lot. It's almost as, let's think about the other great quarterbacks in the league. And you know what's fucked up? Josh Allen's isn't that big because Trubisky has been fine in that offense. Trubisky is a really good backup. Josh Allen can make some big plays. So it's a big adjustment, but it's not the biggest. What is the biggest adjustment?
Aaron Rodgers.
Trying to think of it's probably Aaron Rodgers.
It's Aaron Rodgers. Maybe Lamar Jackson. They're in that. Those are your two choices, I think.
That's only because RG3 is no longer there. But and a lot of it does depend on the backup. So it's probably too big of a jump. But I'm still not excited about I'm gonna take this Jordan Love kid who I know very little about and back him against a team that is just poised to have one of these games where the offense finally clicks and scores like 35. That's the biggest problem with this game is the Packers defense. Like, it's not even so much the big adjustment here. Jordan Love has nothing to do with the Packers defense. And Brady to Gabbert is probably a big one too. That's a good point, Patrick.
Brady to Gabbert is big, but there's enough talent on that offense that they should be able to work around it. There's not a lot of talent outside of Devontae Adams for the Packers.
That's the other part of the problem. Well, what did we say? We said this a couple weeks ago. We said, what's a backup quarterback's best friend? And it was like tight ends and running backs out of the backfield.
Yeah,
and
Packers got one of those.
You had Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams are very good, but very sketchy depth outside of that. And this is a game I know everyone wants to talk about this game, but I don't want to bet this.
Okay. Well, I'm annoyed because I was heavy Chiefs.
Do you remember when everybody bet this after Monday Night Football? Like, a lot of people took the Packers because they said, well, the Chiefs still aren't figured out. The Packers looked pretty good and they're getting Adams back. There was like Packers money right away on Monday night.
A lot. Yeah. I did not agree with that.
Bad luck for them. Like,
this was always a good spot for the Chiefs. Always. It's
a bad secondary still.
Which side? Yeah, right.
That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
So you have a backup quarterback
Yeah.
with some thin receivers against a bad secondary. You have an offense with Reek and Kelsey and all these, and even the secondary players and Hardman and some of the other guys.
Yeah. But
they haven't been doing it. They only put up 20 points. Like seeing this at 49 was jarring, but then you dig in like, that's probably close. Like, do you have a take on this total, or is it just not worth betting?
I mean, this is now a very weird game because if this was Packers at expected strength, which was Rodgers and Adams available, no Tanyan, no defense, then this was a great Chiefs spot because the Chiefs have outright admitted it, that they are looking at their opponents and that they are looking past the bad teams on their schedule. They've outright said it, which means they've probably been looking at this game for a couple weeks, maybe even before the season, like, "Ooh, cool, we get a fun one against the Packers. That'll be a good game. We got that circled." And if this was Aaron Rodgers coming to town, especially off that big win against the Cardinals, you would have gotten an honest effort out of this Chiefs team. Now, will you? Probably still at least a little bit of good stuff on offense. I don't think they're gonna, completely put the good plays back on the shelf and pull the bad playbook out. But maybe they do. And the matchup against this Packers defense for this Chiefs offense is absolutely ideal. This is super, super solid team to go against, considering who's available and the health of some of their players, particularly in the secondary. Not going to have any semblance of a pass rush. And Chiefs could have really flexed in this game, I thought. So this was a good spot, and I'm pissed.
It sucks, too, because this was if we blurred out the bottom and didn't tell people what date, and you were just saying, you were describing the Chiefs versus Tennessee.
Yeah.
Mostly because we didn't really say. And to be fair to the Titans,
that's true.
They put together a pass rush that day. Like they actually had a pass rush. So I don't believe the Packers will. Probably just. That
was also in Tennessee for whatever that's worth, I guess.
Yeah, no, it is. It's worth something, but yeah, this number's gotten away. It's where it should be. Like this touchdown's probably right. This total's probably right. I don't want any part of this.
Yeah, here it was 7.5. I don't think I'm getting involved at 7. I do think I do think Jordan Love got no snaps last year. None. Not even in practice. He was
a starter for a little bit.
He got virtually no preseason snaps though this year because he got hurt in the first preseason game. He is a completely untested commodity, and realistically, if you don't respect how important Aaron Rodgers is for the Matt LaFleur offense, then you're going to find out. Because this is not a plug and play for Jordan Love. He's going to look very raw, and he's going to be asked to do some difficult stuff. Because, the Chiefs' defense hasn't been playing well, but they're still a difficult scheme for. Spags has some stuff that's some interesting wrinkles here. Chris Jones is healthy; he's going to be able to get some pressure. If you keep the Packers' offensive line has been a mash unit all season. And they are performing well because of Aaron Rodgers and what he does in terms of assignments and communication and getting the best out of those guys. Jordan Love's not going to have that same opportunity. Chris Jones is going to be in the backfield a lot in this game. Tyrann Mathieu likely gets a pick. There was a lot of jokes of, he's got 3 days to figure out, they got 3 days to teach Jordan Love who Daniel Sorensen is. That's a funny joke. But, realistically, the idea that Jordan Love is going to execute a clean offense here, I cannot get involved with that idea at all. I think this is going to be a lopsided win for the Chiefs ultimately. And if this gets out to 7.5, man, even at 7, what a teaser. Teaser leg. This
will be a great teaser leg. Somebody asking, I have Chiefs -1. Somebody, I think he was asking if he should come back. No, this isn't the middle.
No. Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Yeah, you've got a pretty good. Some people.
You win the lot.
You got a great ticket. Don't get cute.
Yeah, you win the lottery a couple times every NFL season. You just add, that helps you fight the vig.
It's like people who bet the Saints before the entire Denver Broncos quarterback room got ruled out.
People who bet
don't try to middle, no matter how big this is. Don't try to. You're going to take Kendall Hinton, who technically wasn't even the starter in that game. One of the running backs was the quarterback of record because he took the first snap. Are you gonna come back with a running back and try to middle this? No thanks. So
people who bet the Bears when Matt Stafford has a broken back and it's all of a sudden the David Plow experience. That was fun. David Bleu.
Yeah.
You don't sweat it.
Zona Niners.
Okay, let's talk about what we know. Kyler Murray is not 100%. In fact, he's probably not 80%. He's got mad injuries piling up now because he's just a little guy. That's that's
I'm just a little guy.
I'm not making fun of little guys, but he's a little guy.
He's a shortstop.
Yes, that's right.
Weird that he's getting hurt.
And yes, he's got a shoulder, a thumb, and now a bad ankle. And he pretty clearly is going to be asked to do, a tough game to throw him into on the road against the Niners team that is finally finding itself and playing like the team we expected before the season. Like, they looked freaking good last week. I mean, the scoreboard obviously reflected that to a degree, but they were clicking against that Bears team, and they gave up a couple big plays on defense. They will every week, but against a less mobile quarterback in Kyler Murray because he's dealing with a bad wheel, or if this is the Colt McCoy show, Niners all the way here. I don't know that if you are a limit player, you're going to be able to get a decent sized bet down on Niners until it gets to like 3. That's kind of where I think this goes. I think they're just taking small stakes on this until we get firm news, and it might be, or it will be, Kyler's not playing. It's
off the board at some places that take big limits. So take that for what it's worth. Like, for sure, there's they don't want any part of this. They don't want that smoke. If you can bet this, if you can get some money on the Niners right now, I would. I really, really do not believe Kyler plays. I'm leaning, like, they know they're 7-1. They have wins in division already. Like, they know where they're sitting as far as, do we want to, it's the Dallas move. Like, hey, do we want to risk him for, this is a team that's sitting, we're going to go to the playoffs with this team. Do we need to screw them up further, or do we, try to win some of these last few games and just, be healthy for the playoffs? So I really, really don't think he plays. I'm going to pick off some smaller Niners spots in a few places. And yeah, that's a bet for me. I will bet against Colt McCoy in this spot. I don't think, and I liked what the Bears did at times, but let's call it what it was. They got a crazy ass run on a 4th down which was exciting. I probably don't see something like that from Colt McCoy.
I doubt that also. And realistically, let's not forget JJ Watt's gone. And I listening to all the talking heads, JJ Watt was having a great season. And he was playing. He was. I know.
Okay.
But a lot of people went out of their way to really highlight that after.
Yeah, I did. So. I hated the move. Like, I'm like, he's washed, and I was wrong. He played better than I thought he would, and he probably passed some good information on to some of those younger defenders that they've drafted the past couple of years. But he's not a big needle mover for me at this point in his career. So I'm going to pick off Niners where I can, and hope they just get Kyler the rest he needs.
This Niners team should have beat the Cardinals last time. I'm still chapped about that. All right, let's talk about the Sunday Night Football game, which is interestingly enough, Tennessee at the Rams. Weird pick for Sunday Night Football. Don't know that I saw this one coming. Is this? I mean, because this isn't really like a storied matchup, Tennessee versus the Rams. The only thing that ties them together is the ghost of Jeff Fisher.
They played a Super Bowl against each other.
Oh, that's a good point. I forgot about that.
100 years ago. We were in high school, Drew.
Is that the Rams' only
Kevin
Super Bowl
Dyson
win? The Rams won. The Rams won that Super Bowl, and then they lost to the Patriots, and lost to the Patriots again.
Yeah, they lost 2. So both times to the Patriots. You're right. Yeah. So I don't know if they made it way back in the day. I'm trying to think of. They had a really good defense back in the 70s. There, the Fearsome Foursome. I'm not sure if that team ever made a Super Bowl. I really, really don't think so.
I feel like they lost to the Steelers or the Colts or something.
Yeah, like Jack Youngblood. Remember, didn't somebody play the Super Bowl with a broken leg?
Oh, that's a good story.
Somebody's gonna have to hit that.
Deacon Jones.
Deacon Jones is a fucking animal. So go watch some NFL Films Presents if you want some chills. But yeah, it's a weird game, but it turned out to be a couple of teams who are in the divisional leads.
They made it once in 1980 and lost to the Steelers. Yeah.
Oh God, talk about two all-time defenses just going at it. What was that score? 4-2.
It was 31-19. Amazing.
Of course, because of course it was. Bradshaw's such a shitty quarterback. It wasn't so much.
I think you know why. You know how Pittsburgh got to the 31s, because Jack Young was playing with a broken leg.
Honestly, that was probably a big problem for him. Titans are probably bettable here, but what are they going to do with their offense? Like, and there was some good discourse on Twitter this week. It was like, hey, somebody brought, I believe maybe it was Clev TA. He said like most teams, they go get a running back. Say, we need to replace Derrick Henry. How do you replace Derrick Henry? With another running back. And they said, you should get another receiver, and you should change this offense to be a pass first, more passing forward focused offense. So you saw what they chose with those two options. They went and got a 36-year-old, 34-year-old running back. They're going to activate him. Maybe he probably just splits with the other guys too. It might be a three-way kind of split. But if they try to be the team they were with not Derrick Henry, and they try to use everyone like they did Derrick Henry, this might be a bad team all of a sudden, because they have some weapons in the passing game. And if they don't want to accentuate that now that they are missing a star player from the running game, they're probably going to have a bad time. This defense still isn't good. Despite what we've said about the pressure they've got from the pass rush, the secondary is still dealing with massive cluster issues. Issues is issues and injuries mashed into one word. The Rams have, do the Rams have a wide receiver issue right now?
Yes, they have too many good ones.
They
let Deshaun Jackson walk out the door. They're so flush with talent at the wide receiver position. They can let Deshaun Jackson walk out the door,
which is fine. Honestly,
yeah.
He's fine.
Cooper Kupp is right now wide receiver 1 in all pro voting. Amazingly, he's the best wide receiver.
It's Robert Woods. Robert Woods
is he hurt?
Yeah, I know he was. He didn't practice today with a foot injury. If he doesn't go, that's a problem. But yeah, this is another. We have so many of these games where this is not even a quarterback. Most of these games is like, all right, Arizona, Green Bay, and to a lesser extent, this one you have the crux of the offense out, and we kind of know what Arizona's going to do. They're going to be worse. And we know what Green Bay's going to do. They're going to be worse. But Tennessee has the option to not be worse.
They could be, yeah, right.
And they're probably not going to choose that option. Stafford didn't practice today as well. Giorgio brings up. We did get a quote from McVay saying he's playing. Like, it's just more of he's dinged up, and we're just going to not bounce him around in practice. Stafford will start, they've said. And I guess, yeah, somebody says McVay also said Woods is expected to play. That's huge. I like this as a teaser leg too. If it's sitting in that 8.5, 9, anywhere in there, it's getting bet up. But man, I feel like the Titans are going to bottle this. Which, if you bet the Colts to win the division earlier in the year and you were sad when this team beat the Bills and the Chiefs, this might be the comeback to earth spot for them when they decide, like, we're still going to try to get 30 carries a game out of Adrian Peterson and the menagerie that is Derrick Henry's backups. I don't know. Did you have a hot take on this one, or even a lukewarm one? I'm not excited about this game at all now.
I've mostly been doing research over here to confirm that Jack Youngblood did play Super Bowl 14, January 1980, with a fractured left fibula. We did not make that up. That was a true story.
That's like the most hard ass thing ever.
It is the other hard ass thing is he had a blood clot at one point and played through it and had to be rushed to the hospital after the game and had emergency surgery because it was under his arm. But yeah, he was a hard dude. He's in the all-time hard dude list. I didn't play this game. I don't care really much for this handicap. I don't care for the Rams being as great as they have been so far this season. It's all very quite annoying. And they probably get a comfortable win here because they haven't really been tested in a couple weeks, and they've probably been saving the good plays for this game. And the good plays, guess what? They're going to work against the Titans defense that stinks out loud when they're not, having an all-time performance like they did against the Chiefs. The Titans, I completely agree with your take that they could pivot and become a better team in the absence of Henry, because they could go to a more plus EV conceptual framework where they're passing on early downs instead of running very predictable runs into stacked boxes, but they probably won't do that. And that's ultimately the flaw with Mike Vrabel as a head coach and his vision of how to play football, but that's fine. I think it's the key to the Titans offensively, and the reason that they've won the last 3 games in humongous leverage, by the way, huge leverage, beating the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Colts for a second time. It was all born out of the availability of AJ Brown. He is the key player on this team. He is the key to their offensive success. He unlocks the play action game for them, not Derrick Henry. No. And I think AJ Brown healthy makes a huge difference, and he's going up against the Rams defense that is, people have not caught the right whiff yet of exactly how suspect this defense is. And we could find out on Sunday night, because all the Titans do is exceed expectations against good teams so far this season, except for week 1 where they didn't have a healthy AJ Brown.
From a viewer standpoint, I hope that's the case. If this is just Rams beating the tar out of somebody because they can't figure out life after Derrick Henry, then it's going to be a really shitty watch.
That actually has happened once before in recent memory, where the Titans with a good offense went on the road against a bona fide NFC contender in prime time and just put up an utter stinker. Do you remember the game I'm thinking of?
Not really, but
it was late last season. And it was almost the exact same situation. You had the best team in the NFC hosting the Tennessee Titans. Titans came into town as a decent-sized dog. People talked themselves into the Titans, and the Green Bay Packers won 40-14. They just absolutely spanked them. Now the weather was.
I don't remember that game all that well.
It was a Sunday Night Football game. It was on December 27th.
Wasn't that a total? Yeah, that total got.
You know what? Yeah,
the total got bet down. And...
It was a Sunday. It was between Christmas and New Year's. Let's not pretend like we weren't blacked out drunk on that one for halftime.
Yeah. I'm going to go look at that. I feel like the total got bet down, and then the Packers ruined it by having a very competent offense. Yeah.
Yeah. Total closed at 52.5. It went over. It was Packers. The Titans got bet all week, and it closed Green Bay -3, and they absolutely destroyed them. But yeah, that was a very similar situation. Titans coming in with a lot of impressive wins and a little bit of momentum, and then just put up that stinker. So wouldn't be surprised if that is what plays out here, because the Rams are for real. I admit it. I was wrong about them. Until someone gets hurt, this team is absolutely a contender in the NFC.
And a big problem was their defense was fragile because they didn't have enough good players, and they just added one. So that might kick that one right in the dick too. So, all right, I'm gonna go to the beach.
All right, man.
Once you do the same, we're just some Cali bros.
Great play, man. Let's go. Evening glass off. Evening glass off.
That I don't know what that means. I sat outside eating some fish tacos at a restaurant that was right next to the, there's the path that goes along the ocean, just like a bike path.
It's an exercise path. We like to get exercise here in California.
I love just I think I counted like 14 different styles of things with wheels that people were riding, like regular skateboards, longboards, a girl in normal roller skates, an old guy in rollerblades, 14 different kinds of bikes, like a bicycle made for two, the weird fat tired bike, the winter bike. Tire. You had the guys.
The fat tire bikes are important if you're going to go over the sand. If you have any kind of a small portion of your ride where you're going over sand, you want a fat tire bike.
The skateboard with the really big fat wheel in the middle, the skateboard with 2 wheels that you wiggle back and forth. Like I think one person just had like like the things on his feet where there's like 2 wheels, but they're sideways, and you have to pump your legs. Like it's just like every time somebody came by, that was a different mode of transportation. And then of course joggers and walkers as well.
Yeah, of course. Well, just for your
Something
information,
to behold.
so you can sound like a Cali bro, even though you don't have the complexion for it. You need to get a little sun, so you can sound like a Cali bro. The evening glass off. Most of the time in the afternoon, it's not good surfing in California because you're getting the onshore wind that totally f's up the surf. Right? It's just blown out is what we say. It's blown out. Don't bother. Don't waste your time paddling out. You're not going to get a good wave. It's blown out. Right? Well, as you get right towards sunset, the winds die down. It gets real glassy, and we call that the evening glass off. And so, if you're going to get an afternoon session, you go in the evening during the glass off.
By go to the beach, I mean I'm going to bring one of these beach chairs to Dallas and a book. I'm reading a book about roulette. So.
Oh, you are. Oh, so good. Yeah, nonfiction. I like it. It's a good one.
It's a pretty good story. I'll share it with you sometime. So, okay. All right, hang loose, fuckers.
Hey, we forgot to do secret pod play. Should we do Vikings over?
Vikings over.
Vikings team total over 21.5. Put it on the board. All right, best of luck. Have you looked at the program at all for Breeders' Cup? There's some great races.
Every race is like a $2 million race.
You see the
on Friday? They're like $2,000 claiming races.
Check out the Friday the juvenile